Hi everyone, Clue Small Designs here, and this is part 3 of the Tamiya 1/32 scale F-16 Fighting Falcon build. Now this is the CJ Block 50 variant of the plane, and as you can tell, a lot of work has been done since part 2. We've got the underside all painted up, as well as some of the landing gear started, and the intake system all complete. And that's going to be pretty much the focus of today's video, is the intake system, because it's quite the process to do, and if you're not really sure on how to do it, and it gets kind of not confusing, but if you're not careful with it, you can break it, or you can have some issues with gluing and things like that. So that's kind of what I wanted to cover today. So as you know, I don't really follow the instructions per se. I mean, I follow the steps, but just not usually in order. And with this model here, they have you working on the engine and then kind of going from there. As you all know, I started, with the engine housing and kind of worked out from there, just because I wasn't too sure on how I wanted to display this model. And if you go back to part 2, I kind of explained, how I'm going to display this. So with this one here, you have, I'm going to call it the two intakes, just because you have the inner intake right here, it's all white, and then you have the outer shell, which is the gray, the covering, I guess you can say, just the way this is, the model's built. And that's where it gets kind of tricky as far as painting, right? Because the way this model is built, I mean, it's beautifully built. It's just you got a lot of things to either cover or mask, or it's how you want to do this, because once you have this closed up, as you can tell, you're gonna have the landing gear sticking out, and obviously you have the beautiful white bay that you've painted, and then you have the interior that you've painted all white. It looks great. And then you're gonna have to try and cover this, the white, cover this, and then the landing gear, cover that, and then try and spray, right? Gets a little difficult, to do. So you're gonna have to make the, and you can't really close, this together and spray it and then not have this on the inside, right? So that's where you're gonna have to make a decision. How are you going to paint this? And usually I like to have the parts all together before I spray, just because it'll cover any potential, glue marks or anything like that, right? It kind of hides mistakes if there are any. So with this one, I thought, okay, that's not an option, right? Because of this piece here. There's just no way I'm going to be able to glue this together without this piece being here. So I decided to spray it. Once I got this piece on and this piece on, I decided to spray this, spray this and spray this independently, and then attach it. And that's exactly what I did. So once I had, this all sprayed and this all sprayed, I glued these together. And I didn't want to sit there all day, holding, this piece, holding it. And the only glue line, I guess you can say, I was worried about was this one right here, because everything else is going to be hidden, right? Because this piece right here, a piece is going to be sitting right here going across. So any glue marks that were going to be right here are going to be hidden. So I'm not going to be too worried. Not worried about glue marks here at all, because this piece actually sinks into the fuselage to get you that nice clean line. So no worries there. So the only one I was worried about was this one, right? And because this piece here is actually under a lot of tension, I didn't want to hold it. So I actually used super glue right there. But I didn't want to use too much, otherwise obviously you're going to have glue seeping through the lines. So I actually managed to get, the right amount, and as you can tell, it looks, fairly decent. And once I get a little bit of weathering and stuff in there, any, mistakes that might have been in that line are going to be erased. So luckily it turned out. Now, how you want to build it is up to you, but that's how I built it. And now, obviously, prior to me installing, this piece right here, I had painted, this whole bottom piece first. Now, before painting this bottom piece, obviously I installed, those pieces there, the arresting hook mechanism, and then there's little greebly parts, right? Now, a lot of people too, just a side note, think that's for carriers. It's not. Most runways have emergency lines, similar to aircraft carriers. just in case of a brake failure, things like that. It's not for aircraft carriers. So when it came time to putting, this piece on, which I'll flip to the next page, right here, you got to be very, 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 very careful, because the instructions, I guess it's kind of deceiving. It looks like, okay, I just put glue along there, it kind of looks like that. It looks like I just put glue on there and then it just seats in and I just leave it. No, it actually pushes in. It's kind of like Lego. You know when you get a piece on Lego and you feel that push or that that seal. It's kind of like that. It kind of has that feel to it. But with it's a model kit, so you don't want to be squeezing it like Lego, I guess you can say, because obviously you got an open cavity here. You just take your time with it, and then you can almost feel it sink into place. And then you do end up getting that nice, if I can get that line, that light. See that nice seam line where the intake meets the bottom part of the fuselage? That's what you're looking for. And then the top looks like that. And that's where I put the glue. If you see that shimmer in the light there, that's where you want to put the glue. And that's what you'll end up with. So pre-painting the parts is definitely a must. And if you look at the landing gear there, I'm just going to switch gears for a second. That's just actually wire. It's up to you if you want to do that. I just put wire just to make the landing gear look a little more realistic. And then just seats up into there. And once we get the doors and stuff around, the landing gear doors around, it'll look a little bit better. And then if I can get the light right, and that's what we wanted to go for, right? We wanted that nice see-through to the back of the plane look. You get from that end right through. Once I get the lighting positioned more for the official reveal, then we're going to see all that detail that we put into the plane, all the wiring and such. But as you can tell, it's starting to really come together. But that's what we wanted, right? We wanted that nice see-through look to the front. And as you can tell, we got the screws down to hold down the parts, and then I'll do a little bit of super glue around the screws just to make darn sure that none of these parts are going to be moving at all. So at this point, you're committed. You don't want to be, screwing these screws in and out. Otherwise, you're going to strip the plastic, and then you're going to be toast. So make sure you are committed to putting those parts down. You don't want to be doing that in and out. And then, of course, for that the last intake piece there, the very front piece, see how that's different colored? I just used the dark ghost gray, the AS25, just to change up the colors a little bit. Some aircraft have it like black on their cover on the inside. Some have it, like this. It's up to you. Some squadrons have it different colors. I just chose that color. So now the work will continue with the landing gear, the rear, I guess you can call it landing gear. And a few more parts will go in the front, as you can tell. But the landing gear is quite involved. It says to use super glue for the wheels, but I found, because I used a lot of paint, obviously, and primer, because the landing gear, well, for here it's metal. But with the primer plus the paint with the landing gear, the wheels right there, because I used the layering of paint, I found that the wheels went on snugly. There was no need for me to use any kind of glue, which I'm happy, because usually when you put glue on the wheels and then you push the wheels on, the glue will push through the wheel. So I found, at least with my wheels, it fit on snug enough where no glue was necessary. So that's pretty much it. That's just a quick look at some of the colors I used: the TS26, AS25, AS26, and semi-gloss. And I use the semi-gloss obviously all over the gray. I didn't use any on the white, but just all over the gray. But again, just one last look if you're interested. And the little metal piece in the center, that's just using like a gunmetal color, and that just slips right through in the instruction book. That's easy. I just push right through. No glue is needed on that. And there you go, that seam line. So it's coming together really nicely. So there we go. There's part 3. You know, hopefully all that made sense. It's just again, how you want to build it and how it goes together. Again, it's been a lot of fun, this model. Just, you know, a little bit of slow times at times, but well, still a lot of fun. So there we go. So thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I look forward to your comments as always. Thanks, guys. Bye.